welcome to our end of week gold technical analysis video. We're going to be jumping straight into things here. So with this blue vertical line, this is where we last left off, and we're going to go ahead and divulge and have a look what's happened in the market since. So as we can see, where we left off, we found the new all-time high of 2731. And as you can see, price broke back down, came up. We're going to go ahead and mark this in a chart just with a path real quick, just so you can see really what I'm talking about. So we found this all-time high. We came back down to test one of the supports, so one of the levels that we marked up on the lower time frames, which I will go over in a minute. Came down here, tested the level of 214, tested a new all-time high after we broke this next all-time high of 740. We broke through to all-time highs, then we found the top at 748. Price then broke down. If you guys know and you've been learning, you know what this is. Before we even mark in the level, it's a break and a retest. We've got the resistance here and then support found on the previous resistance. If I go ahead and continue this path for you, we found a new all-time high of 758. Price broke all the way down to the level of 2709, came back up and tested again at 2742. Price came down here, had some retracements. We mark it like this, came back up to test around that 238 level, which was this previous all-time high that was found. Price came back down, tested the level of 232. Came back down again, and price looks to be continuing on bullish after finding this support at 2718. Cool. So new all-time highs have been created, and by the looks of things on the higher time frames, we are sort of coming out of that bullish run. As you can see, price is pretty much just sort of since this level has just continued bullish, and we haven't really had any major sideways movement. But as you can see now, in this block here, we are starting to form a higher time frame consolidation block. So what we're going to do is we're going to divulge and go into our minute 15. In our minute 15, as you can see, we marked in these levels. If you guys remember, we marked in these levels here, and we based it off of this. The reason we marked in this level is because we found a resistance, which was a previous all-time high, and then found as a support. The same thing here: resistance and then a support, resistance and then a support, resistance and then a support, and resistance and then a support. So as you can see, let's have a look how these levels have held up. As you can see, these levels are sufficient, and they are definitely key levels that we want to take into account. Regarding these levels down here, what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and delete these levels, and we're going to go ahead and go on higher time frames and mark in a proper level, the major and the majority. Well, no, the major levels that we need to be taken into account. For example, I'm marking one right here. We're going to go ahead and go to our line chart actually, just to make things a little bit clearer. And here, we've got one right there. I'm going to mark these again in purple now because these are going to be our higher time frame key levels. Yes, we are marking it on a minute 15, but it is a higher time frame level. You'll understand why in a minute. So there we've got the common resistance, the common support for that previous all-time high. So as you can see, if I go ahead and go back to candlesticks real quick, here. As you can see, price broke up. We broke up about this above this level, finding a new all-time high of 2739 or 2740, and then price came back down, not reacting to any of these three levels, but then finding a support between the area of 2721 and 2719, indicating to us that this is definitely a level. What are we going to go ahead and do? We're going to go ahead and take these levels out, and we're going to go ahead and mark it in now with our purple box. As we know that these are now higher time frame levels. So this level will be quite thick, and the reason why we've marked that in is because we've got resistance. Price came back down to test the support, and as you can see, price has just reacted to this level, and that is the reason why it's a point of interest for us. We're going to keep doing the same thing as we go up the chart. So as you can see, we left off here. Price came down after we marked in this level with the previous resistance and then support, the break in the retest pattern. We saw that price came back down to tested level of 2725, and then price came back down, back up to test it after falling to the depths of around 2717. Price came back up to test this level as a resistance before it dropped even further, testing and confirming to us that this level of 2714 is a point of interest. From then, price broke up above this level and came back down to test it on the lower time frames as a support, indicating to us that this level is now sufficient too. As you can see, there was another resistance here, and we also found support at this level, and then we also found price break this level, test it as a support, and then continue on with price touching it here before we pushed up to that new all-time high. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and mark in purple level, and we're going to stick to the candlesticks now, just to make things quick and easy. As you can see, roughly that's our point of interest. We've got resistance and supports, test across the board. And obviously as we come through, you'll see that this level again was tested the same way as these levels were tested. These was found as support, the 2713. Price came up to test around this 2720 level as a resistance. The same thing here at around 2724. And then if we continue on, price tested this level again as a support, before it finally broke through, tested our previous point of interest, or a higher point of interest is 2728, and then came back down to test where it currently is at 2724, testing as what it looks to be as a support. So we're going to go ahead and go back through our chart now. We're going to go ahead and delete these last two levels, and we're going to go ahead and mark them in our purple fashion, indicating to us that these are now higher time frame levels and they are going to be sufficient for us in the future. And yeah, so cool. What we're going to do now is we're going to mark in the all-time high, and we're just going to have a look to the right and see if it has any sort of impact on price. And as you can see straight off the bat, tested as a resistance there. We tested as support between this area of 2732 and 2728. That range there was definitely tested as a support. Again, support, resistance, support, and then resistance. So indicating to us again that that level is sufficient. That level is something that we want to look out for. Now we're going to go ahead and mark in our next level, and it will be roughly around here. As you can see, resistance. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm just going to mark in the levels, and I'll be right back. Got a level there, level there, level there, and then we have a interesting pattern here. Something that I haven't spoke about before. It's a a head and shoulders, indicating to us that the price was going to drop down. The head and shoulders pattern is this. So we've got our left shoulder marked with our head, and then the right shoulder being the rough area that the previous left shoulder was, indicating to us that the bearish move would have taken place. That's what our traders would have been looking at to get in this bearish move here, which I believe we did on the Wednesday. So yeah, that's just a quick little trading insight, quick little price action insight for you. We're going to go ahead and mark those last two levels, one that I can see. Obviously the shoulders are definitely going to be a level here, something that's going to be sufficient to us. And then, as you always know, we're always going to mark in that all-time high, just so we have something to look back to in the future. So as you can see, all these levels, it looks a little bit messy, looks like a barcode now. Obviously some of these levels will disappear, but as you can see, if we go ahead and go to our hour one real quick, actually, you can see here that price is reacting to these levels, to these points of interest. So there's very much a lot of areas within gold at the minute where price is reacting to, and yeah, so since the last place that we left off, we're going to stay on our minute 15 here, just so we can get a little bit more detail. If I go ahead and zoom in here, so you can see we found all-time highs, we found an all-time high, and then boom. Sorry, let me just do that. Yeah, found an all-time high of 2758, and then as you can see, as the London session kicked in, we had some volume enter the market, and the bears pushing price back down. Within the New York session open, we was roughly about here in price. Price has dropped around 200 pips from the point of London session opening and then the New York session beginning. And as you can see, we had a very, very steep drop. All of these candlesticks was pretty much wiped out by this one bearish move, indicating to us that the bears definitely had strength, and then the bulls came back through, pushing price back up to test the previous level, tested high of 2743. Since then, price has come down. One thing that I could possibly mark in here would be a trend line. Remember, trend lines we mark in and we go off as many wicks as we possibly can for a valid trend line from here to here. We're going to go from point A to point B and then just drag it down into the future to see if it has any impact on us. The reason why we're marking it there, so we can touch that wick and that wick. We grab that wick as well. So definitely, price is definitely in a bearish mode right now. We're going to go ahead and just thicken this up real quick, just so it's a little bit clearer. So yeah, price is definitely in, definitely experiencing some bearish momentum right now. After this all-time high was created, obviously we created a very low low, and then price pushed back up, and then since then we have been in a bearish flag, with price creating higher lows and then lower lows. Lower highs and lower lows, and prices then continued down. So with the way that we're seeing price action as of now, what we're going to expect probably for today is something like this. If I go ahead and mark this in, as you can see, prices come back down, potentially creating the next lower low here, the next lower high around this area, and then continuing on down and down. There's one scenario we could see is some bullish momentum in the charts. We could potentially see if price continues and we see this trend line broken, we see price hit around this level, we could see a break and retest off of a previous resistance as a support and off of the trend line, indicating to us now that we will break out of this bearish momentum and price could in turn continue bullish, potentially touching that all-time high. What we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to go ahead and go to our hour 4 chart. I'm going to zoom right in. So as you can see, we've been bullish. We've touched this all-time high, which looks like to be the last all-time high for gold for now. And then price has broken back down. If we see this rough level of 2710, if we see the 2703 level, basically if we see the 700s get broke, we will most likely see price come back into this range here, which will be between the 285 level and the 2605 level. Gold has been very volatile recently. There's a lot of volume entering the markets, especially with everything going on in the world as of right now. A lot of economic world events that are having an effect on the market, and that obviously you can see that. Don't forget we have this trend line that is still viable, which we would have marked in on higher time frames. I believe maybe the daily chart. If I go ahead and go to daily, no, it's going to be on the weekly. Yeah, on the weekly chart, if I go ahead and zoom in, just reset price real quick and go zoom in. You can see this trend line that we've got on our weekly chart has still not been broken. So we are in the higher time frames, in the high time frames, we are still in a bull run. And obviously, eventually, if we see price go back down there, which is highly unlikely as of right now, or anytime soon, as a matter of fact, we won't see that price get broken. But if we do see gold come all the way down below roughly around here, if we see price break below the 2700 zone, we're going to see price come down to test near the 2600s, and then we're also going to see if 2600 is broken, we will see the 2500s broken, and a big bearish trend take place where we could see price come all the way down nearing to 2000. That's for the higher time frames. As of hour 4, as you can see, we found our all-time high. That trend line that we marked in is the same thing. We're definitely going to be taking this trend line into account from now, and seeing if price can break above it. If not, price will most likely continue bearish, and we could probably expect at some point next week to sort of trade between this range, this previous support of these new all-time highs at 2714 and roughly 2685. That's roughly the range that we will see. So probability wise, this bearish continuation is definitely more likely. As you can see, these past 4 hours have been bullish. They have finished as bullish candlesticks, but you can see each candle is very, very small in volume. With the New York session kicking in an hour or so, we will see some volume enter the markets, that's for sure. But as of right now, the bears are in control, and the most probable move is a bearish continuation, seeing this major support of 2713 get broke, and then price diving below the 2700 levels. So pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Explanatory this TA. That's pretty much it for gold. Going to go ahead and see how today plays out, and then catch up with where we left off from today in the market on our Monday TA. But once again, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you have learned some valuable information, especially that head and shoulders pattern. That is something that you should definitely take into account. If you recognize head and shoulders patterns now, I'll show you another one that we can see. It's this left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder. The right shoulder is valid. This is a valid head and shoulders pattern because the left shoulder that was created is also the right shoulder. So with that being said, with that price action that we've literally just seen on the hour before, bearish continuation is definitely more likely than bullish. However, you guys know what gold is like, what all the markets are like. Anything can happen. Gold is gold, the market's the market, anything could take place, and the price could absolutely flip upside, and we could see 3,000 hit. We never know. We'd never be 100% on anything, but we can only mark and go off of what is most probable. That's what trading is about, finding the probability and which side it is going to go to over or in comparison to the other side. Anyway, going back to where I was, hope you guys have enjoyed this end of week technical analysis video. I will be catching up with you guys on the Monday, so make sure to stay tuned and look out for that video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I see a couple people have been leaving comments under the videos. Let's get some more. Let's get some likes. Let's get some more engagement from you guys. Don't forget to message our bot. You can find the link for our bot on our website at goldsignals.io. You will find all the information and all the links to our Telegram channels and bots, which we will have our customer service team ready to help and ready to assist you in any means necessary. So yeah, have a good weekend. Whatever profit you have made this week, make sure to withdraw for some for yourselves. Enjoy it. Good luck for next week. And yeah, that's been me, Gold Signals. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Peace.